Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Richard III, and today we get to hear from King Richard III. That's right, he has been coronated at this point in the play. We've made it to Act 4, Scene 2. And he's been coronated. There was some talk of it in Act 4, Scene 1 when they sent for Lady Anne to get her to go to the coronation so that she could be made queen at the same time that Richard is made king. And of course, nobody in that scene, Queen Elizabeth, Dorset, Lady Anne, none of them think that this is a good idea that Richard is now on the throne. And Lady Anne is afraid that she's going to get killed, but she goes, and Dorset is sent off to team up with Richmond and all sorts of things like that. And we, the audience, don't get to see the actual coronation, which I think is an interesting choice, because as badly as Richard wanted to get there, and then as big of a show as he makes of not wanting to be there so that he can get away with it, if anything goes wrong or goes bad, you can't get mad at me bit, we don't get to see him getting coronated. The closest that we see is at the beginning of this scene. He comes in with Buckingham and Catesby and a bunch of other people, and he makes a show of having Buckingham sort of escort him to the throne, which is a symbolic gesture to show that he acknowledges that he wouldn't have gotten to the throne if it wasn't for Buckingham. And then he has a little bit of a conversation with Buckingham where he's like, okay, now I'm on the throne, but that young Prince Edward is still alive. And Buckingham's like, yep, he is. And Richard's like, that's too bad because I want to be king. And Buckingham's like, but you are king. And he's like, yeah, but that Edward is still alive. And Buckingham is like, yep, he is. And Edward's like, you are being so thick right now, I'm just going to flat out say it. I want young Prince Edward and young Prince Richard killed. Can you do it? And Buckingham was like, whoa, hang on. I need just a second to think about that. Because apparently he has scruples that Richard does not, because Buckingham is, more of a human. So he leaves for a second. And Richard is like, this is not good because, maybe I can't trust Buckingham anymore. And I thought that he was like my right-hand man. So I'm going to have to not trust him so much anymore. And he calls in a page and he's like, can you find me somebody who will kill someone for me? And the page is like, yeah, I know somebody and his name is Tyrell. I'll go get him. So he goes to get him. And then Lord Stanley comes in and tells Richard that Dorset has gone off to join Richmond. And remember, Dorset is Queen Elizabeth's son by another marriage. Richmond would have been the next in line for the throne if the Lancasters had won the War of the Roses or were winning the War of the Roses at this point, but they're not. It's the Yorks who are in power. But Richmond technically would also have a claim to the throne depending which side of things you're on in the War of the Roses. So he's like number one external enemy now that Richard is the king. So upon hearing that Dorset has gone to join Richmond, King Richard, says, come hither, Catesby. Rumor it abroad that Anne, my wife, is very grievous sick. I will take order for her keeping close. Inquire me out some mean poor gentleman whom I will marry straight to Clarence' daughter. The boy is foolish, and I fear not him. Look how thou dream'st. I say again, give out that Anne, my queen, is sick and like to die. About it, for it stands me much upon to stop all hopes whose growth may damage me. I must be married to my brother's daughter, or else my kingdom stands on brittle glass. Murder her brothers, and then marry her. Uncertain way of gain, but I am in so far in blood that sin will pluck on sin. Tear-falling pity dwells not in this eye. Is thy name Tyrell? So he gets Catesby. Remember, he had sent Buckingham out before to spread the rumor that Princes Edward and Richmond were illegitimate children of King Edward. Now he's sending Catesby out to spread a rumor that his wife, Lady Anne, is sick, so sick that she's probably going to die, which means Richard will be able to kill her without anybody really questioning it because they will have thought that she was sick and just died of natural causes. His new plan is once he has killed Edward and Richard, who were Edward's sons and next in line for the throne, he's going to marry Edward's daughter, because that then puts him higher in succession and cements his place as rightful king a little bit more than it is cemented now. And he's like, as far as Clarence's kids, who would also be ahead of him in terms of the line of succession, he's going to have Clarence's daughter married to a nobody, so there's like no question that she's sort of out of it at this point. And he thinks that Clarence's son is just stupid, so he's not really worried about him. So this is how he's going to take care of all of those moving pieces now. And he does acknowledge a little bit at the end that these are maybe extreme measures that he's going to in order for all of this to happen. But he's like, you know, the ball's rolling now. I got to stay with it. There's too much momentum. So then Tyrell comes in and he's like, are you Tyrell? And Tyrell's like, yep, I am. And he's like, what are the chances I could get you to kill someone for me? And Tyrell's like, yes, please. Yes, please. Can it be more than one person? And Richard is like, yeah, the two princes that are in the tower, if you could go, that would be great. And Tyrell's like, I'm on it. And he leaves. And then Buckingham comes back in. And that's a good place to stop for today, because tomorrow's monologue, we'll let tomorrow's monologue be tomorrow's monologue. We'll stop here for today. I will see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.